A new film releasing in Australian cinemas next week is a film called Juniper. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the writer-director of Juniper, Matthew J. Saville. Matthew, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Hey, Peter, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
This is such a nicely fashioned story about two people at different ends of their circumstances, set in New Zealand. How did it come about that you were able to make this film?
Well, I suppose it's got a bit of a personal element. My grandmother came to live with me when I was the same age as that character, and she had broken her leg. She was kind of a similar character to Ruth. She drank certainly a lot of gin and was smart, intelligent, witty. She'd been at the Spanish Civil War, and I sort of thought that was an interesting place to start. And she terrorized us with her electronic bell. So so I thought that was kind of an interesting place to start. But you know, it isn't my story. It has elements of my grandmother and me, but it's sort of, that was just the beginning of it all, I suppose. Yeah.
Sure. So tell me about the process of writing the screenplay, and especially including this young man who played by George Ferrier, I think, who is having his own issues with his father, etc. Tell me how you put all that together.
Well, I suppose I'd been to boarding school. I'd experienced these certain things, and I'd watched my friends go through these things. So I was kind of drawing on real experiences, but creating a new character. In terms of the screenplay, I suppose I started out writing a kind of a coming of age story, and I was exploring that kind of genre. But as I kind of developed it, I sort of realized that I was actually writing a love story, if that makes sense. So it kind of grew into that, a platonic love story between this sort of 17-year-old boy and his, estranged alcoholic grandmother.
And it certainly works out that way. It's a very bittersweet sort of story, which I really enjoyed. Of course, the coup was getting Charlotte Rampling.
Absolutely, yeah. She's the most important piece of the puzzle there, I think. Yeah. And there was certainly like a huge amount of hustle around that. There was, I guess we kind of had to woo her to bring her over to New Zealand. But she does have actually a New Zealand connection. She was married to a Kiwi at one point in her life, so she kind of knew where we were and who we are. So.
And I mean, her role is a very strongly dramatic one, but also physical to some extent. How was she able to cope with everything?
She's just filled with tenacity, courage, and she's a consummate professional. There was never a problem with her. She just turned up and did it and enjoyed it. And I know she had a really great time. She went back and we got a letter from her agent saying, that she thoroughly enjoyed the experience. So I think she likes people. She likes people and she likes experiences, and that was part of the draw card for her to come here and have an adventure.
And she certainly did that. It's a really well played role. And I must also commend the casting of Martin Chokas as the father, who has his own issues. So it's interesting how the three of them sort of play out their own concerns.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what all families are. We're all interweaving in these complex things, but we're drawn together by blood, and we have these connections. And he was it was really great to bring him back. He hasn't done I think he came back to do a television series a few years ago back in New Zealand, but that was pretty much the first time he'd said people had approached him to do a feature. So I was glad we could get him, and he did well.
Yes. No, they all work really well together, and the whole notion of healing and finding, I suppose, something that is sustainable and is also positive in terms of difficult situations. That I thought that was so effective.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of family is about. For me, you know, we can do horrible things to each other, but also forgive each other. We can have a laugh, and so on. I think, you know, that's what lots of people kind of sort of see in the film. They can kind of see in their own families and their own relationships with people they love, and the complexity of it, and also, you know, there's the humor of it too, you know.
Yes. Did the white horse need a lot of training?
We pulled it off. That's all I can say. We pulled it off, and there were times when I was like, I don't know, but it came together. You know, the horses. That horse has been in a few things. Probably going to pop up in Lord of the Rings and that kind of a thing. So it knows what it's doing. But you know, like they say, never work with animals, and it just takes patience and an amazing actor like George who can go into those complex scenes and be in that place while, you know, you're trying to get something to move over for a small you know, sweet treat or whatever it is that they give them. So
no, I appreciate that. Although George had to put up with a cup being thrown at his head.
Yeah, and you know, that's the thing. Charlotte's an amazing shot. Not only can she act, but she can throw. So I wouldn't play her in darts. You know, she'll win. But she nailed. She throws that cup and she hit the spot exactly. And and it kind of worked. So yeah, there is a little bit of special effects in there, but she did throw prop glasses that landed perfectly. Yeah.
Sure, yes. I would hope you wouldn't be knocking out fellow actors, that sort of thing.
No, I just had to put that in there just in case people start. Yeah.
No, fair enough. Now, tell me about location. It looks like a great location in Auckland district where you shot the film.
Yeah, just outside of Auckland. We managed to find, I suppose it's, you know, locations, everything, they're like characters, aren't they? So we managed to find this house and this location. We were able to keep it all centralized around there, and I kind of was, I don't know, finding that house and finding that location is a bit like finding getting your lead actors. It's great when you get it and it works.
Did it take long to shoot?
Look, it's a 5-week shoot, so it's not a huge amount for a feature film, but you know, yeah, it was enough time. We locked down when we finished. Suddenly, COVID hit us, so that was it. There was no, you know, we were scheduled to hopefully come back and do a few more things, but then that just wasn't possible. So we had what we had, and I'm really happy with it.
Yes. No, the film, as I said, works really well. Tell me about your decision to use Juniper as the title of the film.
Well, I suppose it relates to gin, the juniper berry, that kind of thing. A bit of a zest for life. I really love, you know, Transmission had come up with that sort of tagline: "Life, don't water it down." It just feels like the right thing for it.
Yes. Okay. No, that seems very effective. And I'm also interested in the use of music in the film and your choices there.
Yeah, a lot of hard work. I mean, I knew I wanted Marlon Williams to score the film or to be involved. You know, he's an amazing musician, and his music has a lot of heart and it has a lot of soul, but it also sort of connects with the young and old. Score is really important to me. I don't try to throw music over everything in a film like Juniper. I want people to make their own minds up about how they feel about things. So it's there to sort of pick you up and carry you along. And Marlon certainly just brought a kind of I don't know, just kind of worked quite nicely with him. And he wrote some original tracks that came through. And then of course the one thing that we really wanted to do, or that I always had, was to get him to cover, I don't want to give it away too much, but to cover that sort of famous Australian song, Reckless. So that was kind of a big part of the whole scoring and the sound design.
Again, it all integrates and works so well. So tell me about the film releasing. It's now releasing in Australia next week. I gather it's already had a pattern of release in other countries.
Yeah, well, we've opened in New Zealand and we've opened in Scandinavia, and it's gone well there. So we sort of opened, and I think it's still playing there. We're about to go on to the UK. I'm just about to head over to the Edinburgh Film Festival, so we'll go over there. In fact, Charlotte's going to be there, which is really nice. She's been really supportive of it. So we're all going to go out, and to be honest, because of COVID, that'll be the first time we all get together and watch the film together. And then I think there's something else in the United States at the moment. So it's nice. It seems to sort of reach out to people, and I think people can see their own families in it, which is nice. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm pleased to hear that the film is getting that sort of coverage. New Zealand films always intrigue me because the industry is not a huge one, but the films that you do make, or financed by the New Zealand Film Commission, etc., are really interesting. I mean, quirky, whatever you'd like to put it as very good idiosyncratic films. How easy is it for you to work with the New Zealand film industry to be able to make films?
Well, I suppose there's two industries in New Zealand. You've got kind of a service industry, and then a sort of homegrown industry. And what that kind of means is we do have some very, very talented people here who've worked on big films, and they tend to like give up the gigantic paychecks that they get from those films to do a Kiwi film. So I was really lucky in terms of the people I got to work with. I had some top class, so for example, I had Jane Holland did the costume design, and she was just amazing, so I was really lucky, and they all really they read the script and they all felt they were telling something special, so they got involved. I guess I was lucky to work on a first film with like the sort of people who had, I don't know, created the film industry in New Zealand, from all the way through, from lighting all the way through to camera and costume and that kind of a thing. And they all, we had a good time. It was a 5-week shoot, wasn't a long time, but we had a good time.
Well done on that. And I know you've made some previous short films, I think. Tell me what is it that inspires you to be part of the film industry and to make films?
Well, it's a funny one. I want to entertain people and all those kinds of things, but I do sort of see it as my way of being an artist and exploring the human condition and kind of understanding the world around me. I want to tell stories that connect with people emotionally, that move them, and kind of sort of help us to sort of understand who we are, or to find some kind of connection with other people. I think that's what it's all about, and that is entertaining. So it's that idea of human connection, I suppose, is what I care about most of all.
Sure. No, fully understand. So are there any particular films or filmmakers that perhaps you use as inspiration or as templates or whatever?
That's a good question. I suppose, look, it really depends. There's a lot of great New Zealand filmmakers I love. I love Taika. I love really love Jane Campion. She's a great inspiration. In fact, she came in and helped worked on the script, or gave me a bit of feedback on the script, that kind of thing. So I really admire her work. Big fan of actually David Melchod, who directed Animal Kingdom. In fact, I I watched his short film Crossbow, and then I watched Animal Kingdom, and I met him at the Melbourne Film Festival. Spoke to him, but watching him talk about making a short film and how that got him into directing Animal Kingdom was kind of the moment where I made my first short film, and then made Juniper. So there's lots of people I take inspiration from the old masters to the newer filmmakers. There's something that I can find in all of them, I guess. Yeah.
Fair enough. That all fits together very nicely. So Matthew, are you now working on another film?
I'm working on films and TV series. I'm working actually on a story set in Australia, of all things, which I'm really excited about. I'm working on a feature based on one of my previous shorts, which I'm kind of, it's in the final sort of stages of the draft. It's slightly more of more of a genre film than Juniper. But once again, it is, sort of an exploration of the human condition and about human connection. So yeah, bunch of things.
All sounds very good. Looking forward to your next projects. We've been speaking to Matthew J. Saville, the writer-director of Juniper, which releases next week in Australian cinemas. Thank you so much, Matthew, for talking with me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you later.